If it's Friday night, say yeah, for it's another edition of Strictly Sports. Hello, friends. Anthony Floyer here with you for another edition of Strictly Sports. Glad to have you with us. Joined as always by good old MF Michael Fletcher. We got Michael Bullock here as well. We have a very small docket, and we're not going to waste any time because we have a very important behind the scenes discussion that we need to have. So we're not going to waste too much time here. So without any further ado, let's get into our small docket for this evening. We're going to start it off with our preview of the conference finals of the Stanley Cup playoffs. We are now in the Final Four. In the Eastern Conference Finals, which started last night, we have the upstart Carolina Hurricanes squaring off against the Boston Bruins. And then tomorrow night, in the Western Conference Finals, the series that MF and I are going to have, it will be the St. Louis Blues squaring off against the San Jose Sharks. Let's start it off with the Eastern Conference Finals, the Carolina Hurricanes and the Boston Bruins. The Carolina Hurricanes don't always make the playoffs, but when they do, they go on big runs. Since the NHL's current playoff system was instituted in the 2013-14 season, the Hurricanes are only the second wildcard team to advance to the conference finals, joining the Nashville Predators of 2 years ago, who went to the Stanley Cup Finals. The Canes are the big disruptors in the NHL this year. They spent year after year as everyone's Cinderella pick, and finally they're at the ball again. Carolina has spent only 78.6% of the salary cap, which is the lowest of any conference finalist in the past 8 years by far. The next closest, the 2012 and 13 LA Kings at 93.2%. They're also having a ton of fun and galvanizing the fan base. Their post-game storm surge celebrations irked some in the old guard of hockey media, earning their nickname as the Bunch of Jerks. If you don't root for Boston and you're sick of the city's professional sports team success, well, you're not in luck. The Bruins are in the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 2013, making it Boston's 28th appearance in a conference final in the four major sports since 2001. The next closest city, Los Angeles, with 19. What's more, the Celtics, Patriots, and Red Sox have all appeared in the conference/league championship round in the past year, with the Red Sox and Patriots winning titles. The nucleus of Boston's team looks a lot like its 2013 team, which lost to the Chicago Blackhawks in the greatest Stanley Cup final of all time. The Bruins core isn't getting any younger, and though they were able to retool on the fly, this might be the best chance for Zdeno Chara, Patrice Bergeron, David Krejci, Brad Marchand, and Tuukka Rask to win another championship. When it comes to first lines in this series, Marchand, Bergeron, and David Pastrnak were quiet to begin the second round series against Columbus and then reunited, perhaps for good, these playoffs. They started roaring, combining for 11 points over a two-game stretch. The Hurricanes have done some shuffling to their top six, with budding superstars Sebastian Aho as the constant at center. Depending on whom he lines up with, some combination of Teuvo Teravainen, Justin Williams, Warren Foegele, and Nino Niederreiter, the Canes can present a very good top line, but not one that can exceed the talent and versatility of the Bruins. So my advantage goes to Boston there. When it comes to depth, in Carolina, Foegele has been a breakout star, even though he was a fringe roster ad and could have used some minor league seasoning at times this year. He's here to stay and has performed 5 goals and 4 assists in 11 playoff games. Carolina has been balanced. 7 players have at least 3 goals this postseason. Meanwhile, Boston has benefited from surprise secondary scoring. David Krejci, at the age of 33, is quietly having a strong spring with 10 points through 13 games. The bottom 6 have chipped in more than expected. Trade deadline acquisition Charlie Coyle, slotted at third-line center, looks like the best version of himself, and he was at times the team's best forward in the Toronto series. Ask MF and I, we can tell you that firsthand. Advantage even. I got to call that one a toss-up, a draw. Defense, I got to go with Carolina here because their blue line is deep enough to withstand the season-ending injury to Trevor Van Riemsdyk and not miss a beat. It's a talented group. Jakob Slavin, in particular, is having an excellent postseason, especially offensively, as he leads the team with 11 points. Boston's blue line has been formidable, and the playoffs have been a coming-out party for Brandon Carlo, who on most nights is the Bruins' best defender by far. A big issue going into last night's game one for the Bruins was the suspension of Charlie McAvoy for his hit to the head of Josh Anderson in game 6 of their series against Columbus back on Tuesday. The Bruins surrendered a lot of shots to the Blue Jackets, and they'll be without a key cog. And they were without a key cog for last night's series opener. So that's why I still have Carolina when it comes to defense. Goaltending, it's Boston, Tuukka Rask. He's playing some of the best hockey of his life. He had a .955 save percentage at even strength in the last 4 games of the Columbus series, also stopping 26 of 27 high danger shots for a .963 save percentage at even strength in that span. The Canes have 2 very capable goaltenders in Peter Mrazek, who started most of the playoffs, and Curtis McElhinney, who closed out the Islanders series when Mrazek was injured. They both have the capacity to lock in and steal a game, but neither is on Tuukka Rask's level right now. And by the way, he's one of my favorites for the Conn Smythe Trophy, should the Boston Bruins go on to win the Stanley Cup. Health-wise, it's Boston again, because the Canes lost defenseman Van Riemsdyk to season-ending surgery. They welcomed back Andrei Svechnikov last round, concussion protocol after the Ovechkin fight, but played the entire second round without rugged forward Michael Furland. It's unclear when Furland will come back, but it could be soon. Jordan Martinook is also managing an injury. Bruins defenseman Kevon Miller has made progress with a knee injury, but he was not available for last night's game. Miller has yet to play this postseason. John Moore is also managing an injury, so Boston has that advantage. Special teams, that's Boston again. The Bruins power play is clicking, hitting at a 28.6% clip, best of any playoff team. Their penalty kill is average at 83.8%. Carolina's penalty kill has struggled at times, 75%, but the power play needs a lot of help. The Canes have just 4 goals and 38 opportunities this postseason. That's 10.5%. Boston has the advantage in special teams. Coaching, even. Bruce Cassidy has made the right tactical moves at the right times to keep his lineup in check and clicking. Rod Brindamore is a rookie head coach, but his confident and emotional connection to this team is hard to ignore. So I got to call that a toss-up as well. But in the grand scheme of things, when all is said and done, and based on what I saw last night, I have the Boston Bruins going to the Stanley Cup Finals. 7 games, Boston Bruins over the Carolina Hurricanes. Should be a great series. So nothing more to say here. I'm going to throw it now to the Gary Thorne, to my Bill Clement, and the Doc Emmerich, to my Eddie Olczyk. Good old MF Michael Fletcher. MF, I mean, we could have easily had done this series, but we're doing the other series. We'll get to that in a minute. But Carolina, Boston last night, flexing their muscle. 4-goal third period. I got them going to the finals. What says you?
I agree. I think Boston's going to go to the Stanley Cup final. It's going to be a very good series. It's going to be a very interesting series. It's going to be a dogfight, no doubt about it. If there's any indication, if you saw game 1, Carolina played a great game at the very beginning. In the 2 periods that they played up to that point, they were definitely playing wicked hard. They were playing some great hockey. The third period just fell apart for them. I don't know if it was because they got burned out or if it was just Boston just dropped the hammer and played on a completely different gear. But I kind of disagree with you, Anthony. I think Boston has all of the intangibles that I think will definitely win the series. But I don't have it in 7. I got it in 6. I think Boston's going to wrap it up in 6 games. I could see Carolina steal one here, but even that might even be a stretch. So 6 games, Boston goes to the final. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, I got to go with Fletch in this one. I got the Bruins winning the series as well, but I got to go with Fletch. I think this is going to go 6 games. I mean, would it surprise me if it went the distance? No, it wouldn't. But man, oh man, the Boston Bruins. I mean, they made a huge statement last night. I mean, yeah, you did miss Charlie McAvoy with that suspension for the elbow to Josh Anderson of the Columbus Blue Jackets in the previous series. But, man, some guys really stepped up last night. I mean, Camper, he he got a goal, and he was the one that was starting in place of Charlie McAvoy. So, yeah, and then, of course, the Carolina Hurricanes, I mean, they came back with 2 goals and went into the third period with a 1-goal lead. And then, for some reason in the third period, they just fell flat on their faces and gave up 4 goals to the Bruins, and leading it to a 5-2 victory for the Bruins in Game 1. Now it's going to be interesting to see what happens in Game 2 on Mother's Day Sunday. I mean, can the Bruins keep the momentum going and go up 2-0? Or will Rod Brindamore's Carolina Hurricanes step up and even up the series before it heads back to Carolina? So we're just going to have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean the Bruins, I mean, they're just playing well. I mean Tuukka Rask, I mean, he's looking like the Tuukka Rask that we saw in the 2013 run to the Stanley Cup final. I mean, David Pastrnak he's really stepped up his game as of late. And yeah, so I got the Bruins winning this series and going to the Stanley Cup final, and not many people would have thought that, but I'll tell you what, with the Tampa Bay Lightning getting eliminated early in the first round and the defending Stanley Cup champion Washington Capitals gone, this literally opens the door for the Bruins to make a run to the Stanley Cup final and maybe raising Lord Stanley's Cup for the first time since 2011. So we're just going to have to wait and see. But Bruins in 6 for me. So with that being said, Florio, let's move on to previewing the Western Conference Finals.
Yes, Western Conference Finals, and yes, Bullock, you're absolutely right. I mean, Tampa Bay going down, Washington going down. Let's not forget the Pittsburgh Penguins either. So the three biggest threats in the Eastern Conference all going down in round 1, and that definitely opened the door for the Boston Bruins. They were number 4 on my radar in the East, but hey, take advantage of it while you can. So. All right, now on to the Western Conference Finals. It starts tomorrow night. We have the St. Louis Blues squaring off against the San Jose Sharks. Game 1 tomorrow night at 8, the Saturday night primetime slot on NBC at the Shark Tank. So we're going to start it off with good old MF Michael Fletcher. It's only fitting because he and I are going to be covering this series. So MF, it was a tough decision when it comes to these series, but what ultimately, just out of curiosity, what drew you out of what drew you to this series over the East?
I really feel it's just the storylines that's going into this. St. Louis, you know, they've been to the Stanley Cup final before, and their young nucleus and their young team with Jordan Binghamton, you know, a virtual unknown about a few months ago, took the starting job and has thrived. 24-5-1 with a 1.89 goals against average with 5 shutouts and a 927 save percentage, going up against Martin Jones, one of the stalwarts of the San Jose Sharks team. No doubt about it. This is going to be a lot of fun. It's a great matchup too. And plus, going into the series, what was the one thing that we always talk about? Fresh and new looking teams, fresh and new opportunities. And I got to say this. You want to talk about fresh and amazing and everything else? I got to say it. I love this team. I love this squad. There's really nothing else to say. I think this is going to be a great matchup. It's definitely a fitting battle, to say the very least. So for me, at the end of the day, I got nothing else going on. So I got to say it. I got San Jose winning the series. I think this is going to be a great series. I think they're going to win this in 7. So nothing more to say, Michael Bullock. I give it to you.
Yeah, I think this conference final to me, I think, is definitely going to go the distance. I mean, yeah, I like what I've seen from both teams, the Colorado Avalanche and the San Jose Sharks. I mean, this has got the makings of a very good 7-game series. So Yeah, so to me, I'm gonna go with Fletch. I'm gonna go with the San Jose Sharks to win it in 7 games. So would I be surprised if the Avalanche win the series? No, I wouldn't be. But
You mean the Blues?
I mean the Blues. Yeah, I'm sorry. So caught up here. Yeah, yeah. I got the yeah. The Sharks beating the Blues in 7 games, and but man, boys, could you imagine? I mean, a Stanley Cup final, the Bruins and the San Jose Sharks. You got old friend Joe Thornton going against his former team, the Bruins. I mean, imagine what that series will be like. Could Joe Thornton finally raise that Stanley Cup against the team that he once played for? Well, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I got the San Jose Sharks winning this series, so nothing more to say. I mean, so Florio, is it the San Jose Sharks' destiny to get to the Stanley Cup final, or is it time for the St. Louis Blues to get to the Stanley Cup final? I mean, I can't remember how long it's been since they last played in one.
Try 49 years, Bullet.
Holy
40
smokes! So
49
years
for the St. Louis Blues.
So they are due to be in a Stanley Cup final.
Maybe they are. You never know.
But in my opinion, I just don't see it happening. But I could be wrong.
Well, we all could be wrong. You never know. But the St. Louis Blues last went to the Stanley Cup final all the way back in 1970 when they were swept by the Boston Bruins. And of course, we all remember perhaps the most famous and the most iconic goal in NHL history, Bobby Orr flying through the air, winning, scoring the Stanley Cup winning goal in sudden death overtime in the old Boston Garden to give the Boston Bruins that Stanley Cup in 1970. But the San Jose Sharks looking to get back to the finals. It's only been 3 years. Of course, they were there back in 2016. Unfortunately for them, they lost to the Pittsburgh Penguins. And we all know how that turned out. Second time in 4 years, perhaps? Let's find out. Who would have thought back in January that the St. Louis Blues would be here? The team was a major disappointment, at one point hitting the conference basement and firing head coach Mike Yeo. Craig Berube was installed behind the bench. Rookie goalie Jordan Binnington was given an opportunity to play. That all seems like a century ago now. As Berube unlocked their potential, Binnington earned a Calder Trophy nomination. The Blues rolled up the standings into a playoff spot, and they eliminated the Winnipeg Jets in 6 games and Dallas Stars in 7 games, respectively, to reach the Western Conference Final for the first time since 2016, when they lost to the San Jose Sharks. How ironic. Come to think of it, who would have thought the Sharks would have been here midway through their first round series with the previous Western Conference champions, the Vegas Golden Knights? They were down 3-1 in that series. Martin Jones had been pulled twice. They looked like they were done until they rallied with 3 straight wins, including a double overtime victory on the road in Game 6 and that infamous overtime win in Game 7 in which they were gifted a major penalty when Joe Pavelski was injured. Pavelski missed all of their series against the Colorado Avalanche until Game 7 when he made an emotional return and an immediate impact, scoring a goal and assisting on another. More officiating randomness happened in the form of an offside review that took away a Colorado goal, and the Sharks outlasted the Avs to advance. In some ways, these teams are similar, such as the fact that they've had almost a different hero every night in reaching this point of the playoffs. But the most similar thing is that while both organizations have played for the Stanley Cup, neither has ever won one. The Western Conference Finals is all that stands in the way of one of them getting another shot. So who has the advantage here? Let's start with the first line. Lately, the Blues have been using Braden Shen, Jaden Schwartz, and Vladimir Tarasenko as their top line with 8 goals in 13 games. Schwartz has been the Blues' top goal scorer. Tarasenko has 5 goals and no assists with 1 goal in his past 6 games. The Sharks have 2 lines that could be considered their top unit, but for the purposes of this preview, we'll go with Logan Couture, Timo Meyer, and Gustav Nyquist, a trio that was put together when Pavelski was injured and that outplayed the Nathan McKinnon unit in the previous round. It has generated 6 goals and given up just 2 at even strength, so I got to consider that a toss-up. When it comes to depth, I got to go with San Jose. Ryan O'Reilly, the Blues MVP, skater division in the regular season, has been skating with David Perron, 3 goals and 3 assists, and 22-year-old Sammy Blais, who made quite an impression in just 2 games. Speaking of young players, Robert Thomas, a goal and 4 assists, has been one of the team's most effective forwards at just 19 years of age, guys, skating with Tyler Bozak and Game 7 standout Patrick Maroon. Oscar Sundqvist, Ivan Barbashev, Robbie Fabry, and Alexander Steen are also in the mix. Pavelski's return to the Sharks bolstered their depth at forward, skating with Tomas Hertl, 9 goals, and Evander Kane, 2 goals and 5 assists. The ageless Joe Thornton, centers Kevin LeBlanc and Marcus Sorensen are on an effective third line. Barclay Goodrow, Melker Carlson, and the recently returned Jonas Donskoy have their moments, so San Jose has that advantage. Defense, I got to go with San Jose as well. Don't get me wrong, the Blues have 2 outstanding defensemen and Alex Pietrangelo, 11 points in 13 games, 25.43 per game, who is paired with Joel Edmondson and Colton Parayko, 7 points in 23.51, who is paired with Jay Bouwmeester, a minus 21 in shot attempts at 5-on-5. The Sharks have 3 of them. Brent Burns, 14 points in 14 games in about 30 minutes, who skates with another blue line titan in Mark-Edward Vlasic, 6 points in 12 games, 24 minutes. And Erik Karlsson, 12 points in 14 games, 25.5 minutes roughly, who looks increasingly like Erik Karlsson again and skates with Brendan Dillon. The Blues have an advantage with Vince Dunn and Carl Garnerson on the bottom pairing, but the trinity of superior Sharks gives San Jose the edge. Goaltending, I love both guys, but MF, you nailed it. It's St. Louis. It's clear the Blues have an advantage in Binnington, who has a .915 save percentage and a .239 goals against in this postseason. He is the backbone of this team, and in a few cases, its best player. According to Charting Hockey, he is demonstrably ahead of Jones in goals saved above average, but they're nearly identical on low danger chances, and Jones has been a bit better on high danger chances. The Sharks have played better in front of Jones, but Jones also has been rock solid in critical moments, such as in the third period of Game 7 against Colorado. Jones hasn't been the liability he appeared to be earlier in the playoffs, but Binnington has been outstanding. St. Louis gets the edge goaltending. Health-wise, they're even. Both teams are as healthy as can be expected right now. Caveat, Joe Pavelski returned from that head injury, but curiously did not take a face-off in Game 7. Special teams, that's even again. The Sharks are at 18.5% on the power play, with St. Louis right behind them at 17.1%. San Jose is tied for the postseason lead with 10 power play goals, although 4 of them came on the same 5-minute major against the Knights. The Sharks had only 2 power play goals in 7 games against the Avalanche. The Sharks are at 80.8% on the penalty kill, having done an effective job against Colorado, while the Blues are at 75%, having given up 4 power play goals to Dallas in 7 games. Coaching, slight edge to San Jose. Craig Berube has given the Blues a lot of things like a tenacious forecheck, more defensive responsibility, and a straightforward approach that is less about psychology than it is about function. What the Blues haven't given him yet, a contract extension. Peter DeBoer, meanwhile, understands the psychology of his veteran locker room, including when to take the foot off the pedal. Tactically, his adjustments in the early part of the Vegas series, including a bigger emphasis on cutting down offense off the rush from opponents, has paid big dividends. Plus, he's been to the Stanley Cup Finals twice before, taking the New Jersey Devils to the Stanley Cup Final in 2012. Something that MF and I like to forget as Ranger fans, but it is what it is. And then, of course, he guided San Jose to the final 3 years ago. I think he could definitely do it again. Should he do so, it would be his 3rd finals appearance in the last 7 years. So Craig Berube, you've done a great job in St. Louis. Don't get me wrong, you have done wonders for that team. But I have to go with the experience, and that is Peter DeBoer. So I got to give the coaching edge to San Jose. Grand scheme of things, I'm going to make a unanimous, gentlemen. I have to go with the San Jose Sharks. I think it will go 7. I think it goes to distance. San Jose, blessed with that home ice advantage with the Shark Tank. I have to give the edge to San Jose to beat St. Louis for the second time in 4 years. They met in 2016 in this round. They meet again in this round. But San Jose gets the edge, even though, I'll be honest, there is a part of me that would like to see the St. Louis Blues get to the Stanley Cup final for the first time in almost 50 years, since 1970. So we'll see. But San Jose, better team in my book. So 7 games, San Jose Sharks. They will win the Clarence Campbell Bowl. And just as we have the Boston Bruins walking away with the Prince of Wales trophy. So our Stanley Cup final, the San Jose Sharks, and the Boston Bruins, that's from all 3 of us. We agree unanimously on both of those. And if that should be the case, that could go down as one of the greatest Stanley Cup final series of all time. Absolutely. All right. Now, unfortunately, we do have I never thought this would end up being a hard time story, but it does end up being one. Last Saturday, of course, the most exciting 2 minutes in all of sports turned in to the most agonizing 15 minutes in sports history. The Kentucky Derby, one of the most special days of the year, and it ended up being marred by controversy. We all thought that Maximum Security had won the Kentucky Derby, but then out of nowhere, all of a sudden, like a Randy Orton RKO out of nowhere, an objection was called. And these stewards, or as I call them, Gestapo security guards, for the first time in the Kentucky Derby's 145-year history, the first place horse, Maximum Security, was disqualified for interference on the track. The controversial overturn is causing a major fuss in the horse racing world. And unfortunately, it also took away from another damn good call from our own MF. I mean, because we all know how great MF is when it comes to the Kentucky Derby. I mean, channeling his inner late great Dave Johnson. I mean, especially with that down the stretch they come. I can't tell you how much I love that MF, but unfortunately, this gets marred by a controversy. So, Michael Bullock, I mean, I know we all saw it, but we thought Maximum Security had won, but unfortunately, objection called. He gets disqualified. Country Horse or Country House wins it. And Country House has already announced that they're not going to be running the Preakness. So this year, unfortunately, unlike last year, we are not going to have a Triple Crown winner.
Yeah, it's a damn shame for both. But, yeah, when it comes to this, I never would have thought a Kentucky Derby would have such controversy. But we did, and when Maximum Security, according to them, basically was disqualified for interference, and I don't know what to say when it comes to this. I mean, it's just sad that someone had to be disqualified for something like this, but obviously, according to them, they felt like a ruling had to be made, and to them, they think this was the right ruling. So, man, it's just sad. I mean, it takes away from what was a great finish and a great call, and now it's clouded in controversy because of this. I mean, to me, I really don't know what else there is to say regarding this whole thing. It's basically one thing. It's just sad, plain and simple. I'm just going to give it to you, Florio, now, because I really don't know what else is there to say when it comes to this.
Like Mauro Ranallo once said during NXT TakeOver New Orleans, during that insane ladder match for the North American Championship, during one of the sick move spots, there are no words. I mean, there are no words. I mean, who would have thought an event as prestigious as this would be marred by controversy. I'm split, honestly. One part of me wants to channel my inner JBL and say, this is damn wrong, and the whole 9 yards, and go on, a profanity-laced tirade over this whole thing. But there's the other part of me, which is, of course, the man of honor and integrity. And I could honestly say that there was a part of me that wanted to say justice served, justice prevailed, cheaters never win. And that's all there is to say on that. So, I mean, they call this race the most exciting 2 minutes in all of sports. Well, unfortunately, once that stupid objection went down, it turned into the most agonizing, painful, and brutal 15 minutes. 15 minutes of our lives that we're never going to get back. And what was up with that setup, man? I mean, I honestly, that was like a makeshift Gestapo setup. That's like what Gestapo security guards use nowadays. But nonetheless, I mean, like Michael Bullock said, you nailed it right on the head, man. I mean, sad, absolutely sad. And, the social media blew up. Not one person was happy about this. Everybody was absolutely livid, to be honest. And, and a lot of people are saying this killed the sport. And, there was a poll. Was this DQ controversy good or bad for the sport? 63.79% of the people voted bad. 36.21% actually voted good. Well, for you 36% out there, you need your heads examined. That's all I can say about that. I mean, a wild week in the horse racing industry. And, it's just a damn shame that it ended up going down like this. I mean, everybody thought that Maximum Security was the best horse. I mean, even the analysts on NBC, Mike Tirico and those guys were saying that Maximum Security was the best horse. They thought that it was not going to get DQ'd. They thought everything was going to be fine and that they were not going to overturn the decision. But then they ended up doing so. And, it's just so sad. I mean, and, a lot of people, a lot of Maximum Security fans were very angry about it, but it was an unprecedented move. Maximum Security, ridden by jockey Luis Saez, was disqualified and the victory awarded to the second place finisher Country House and jockey Flavion Pratt. A surreal turn of events for the muddy and rainy 145th Run for the Roses, one that will generate controversy for years to come in the highbrow world of horse racing. That Maximum Security was the clear winner, wasn't in dispute. The disqualification had everything to do with behavior in the midst of the race, a moment when the horse veered out of its lane and interfered with the runs of a pair of competitors. ESPN quoted a statement issued by a racing official hours after the stunning turn of events. The chief steward, Barbara Borden, Kentucky's chief steward, said in a statement, the riders of the 18 and 20 Long Range Toddy and Country House lodged objections against the 7 Maximum Security, the winner due to interference turning for home, leaving the quarter pole. We had a lengthy review of the race. We interviewed affected riders. We determined that the 7 horse drifted out and impacted the progress of 1 War of Will, in turn interfering with the 18 and 21 Bot Express. Those horses were all affected, we thought, by the interference. Therefore, we unanimously determined to disqualify number 7 and place him behind the 18, the lowest placed horse that he bothered, which is our typical procedure. To clarify, 2 jockeys objected to Maximum Security's interference with other horses mid-run. Officials reviewed footage and found the objections valid, and 65-1 Longshot Country House was declared the winner. Only one other horse has ever been disqualified after a Derby win. 1968, first place finisher Dancer's Image, who tested positive for drugs. needless to say, social media reaction from all quarters was intense. And one random user said, "I know how you feel, Maximum Security." Tim Layden from Sports Illustrated, he talked with the Maximum Security's trainer, Jason Service, and owner, Gary West. Both indicated that they will pursue any available appeals to protest the disqualification. Dale Earnhardt Jr. saying, "This is literally my first horse race, but as nasty as these conditions were, I don't think I could have taken the win away from Maximum Security." And even former Major League Baseball star Paul LaDuca, "Listen, I get it. Maximum Security was the best horse, but you can't just lug out and drill 3 horses. Deal with it, people." The crowd at Churchill Downs booed the decision and the end result as well. Many of those booing likely lost a bet, but as social media, especially Twitter responses indicated, there was also a feeling that officials had gone a little too far. And, Gary West, who owns Maximum Security with his wife, Mary, speaking to the AP, reportedly said, "I think this is the most egregious disqualification in the history of horse racing." He added that he didn't feel that way just because it's our horse. And then the jockey, Luis Saez, said after the turnaround that he never put anybody in danger. And Maximum Security said Saez simply shied away from the noise of the crowd and may have ducked out a little. USA Today sports writer Dan Wolkin, writing an opinion column, said that even though history will record Country House as the winner of the Derby, anyone who watched and remembers the race years from now will know that Country House was little more than the recipient of an egregious decision by the racing stewards at Churchill Downs, who disqualified the horse that finished under the wire first and was much the best running 1 to 1.25 miles around the famed oval. In the end, it appears the decision was final and the second best horse won. So, it is what it is, as we always say. So, and in all honesty, because of the outrage, I will not be tuning in. I will be boycotting both the Preakness and the Belmont. And I'll just go back to the Derby next year. I only tune in, for the thrill of the Triple Crown. And last year I got to experience that thrill. We all got to experience it with Justify winning it, just as we saw American Pharoah in 2015, ending that 37-year drought. We got to see 2 and 4 years. But unfortunately, we don't get one this year, and it's because of that, I'm not even bothering with those other 2 races. I'll just wait until next year's Kentucky Derby and start it all again. So that's basically my way of saying, screw you. That's all I can say about that. So, like I said, there's that part of me that's angry and outraged, but there's that other part of me that, the honor and integrity side of me that, commends the decision. So I'm basically 50-50 on this. So, MF, this controversy takes away from another one of your brilliant calls of this thing. I mean, you channeling your idol, the late, great Dave Johnson. I mean, down the stretch they come, especially. I mean, you did a great job as always, but unfortunately, your great call, unfortunately, gets taken away because of this nonsense.
You know what? But I understand about what happened, and after the controversy started, and I was really, because I was there relaxing after the race was over, getting the congratulations from the guys about the call and everything else. And then, I heard about hold your tickets, wait a minute. There was an objection and everything else. And so I was sitting there, hanging out, and I'm like, all right, let's see what's going on about this. All of a sudden, once the review started and it was taking a long time, something in the back of my mind, I'm like, I think this horse is, I think he's going to get disqualified. And one of my buddies looked at me and he's like, you really think so? I'm like, they're taking way too long on deciding this inquiry. I think a disqualification's coming. Sure enough, I was right. DQ came out and I was shocked. I was stunned like everybody else. I was like, wow. To think 15 minutes, like Anthony said, it was agonizing. It was stressful. But 15 minutes ago, I was literally doing it saying that Maximum Force, still undefeated, has won the Kentucky Derby, and now, like Anthony said, that moment gets taken away from me. But I get it. Am I disappointed about the outcome? Absolutely. Absolutely I'm disappointed about it. But the horse did veer out. He interfered. So I understand why the disqualification happened, but for Country House to win it that way, yeah, absolutely. It's a taint on the sport. It is disgusting. I'm not happy about it either. But, I'm contractually obligated to finish out the Triple Crown. So, unfortunately, unlike Anthony, who decided, well, I'm out. I'm not gonna be there. You are more than welcome to do that. You know what? I would not blame you for protesting and saying that you're not going to watch the Preakness or the Belmont. I don't have that luxury. I'm going to be there for the Preakness Stakes. I'm going to be there for Belmont when those races happen. I'm just going to finish my job. I got a contractable obligation. I have to do it. So I'm going to be there. And I'm excited for Belmont. I'm excited for Preakness. Obviously, it's not going to have the same luster or the same excitement as I would have gone in with Derby, but it is what it is. So, my thoughts is they just got to handle it and do the best that they can, and that's really it. So, really, nothing more to say. So, yeah, Anthony, let's move on.
Yes, indeed. Very tough. That did slip my mind about you on the commentary, Meth. I mean, that would be the only reason why I would even bother, because you know how much I love your calls on these events. I mean, especially down the stretch they come and they're off. I mean, I love how you put that grunt into it, which I love so on. But anywho, maybe I'll get back to you in a week. We'll see about it. But anywho, Major League Baseball power rankings time. That's the only other order of business we have on this night. And I'll tell you what, I mean, we got some big series going down this weekend, of course. The big series is obviously the Milwaukee Brewers against the Chicago Cubs. I mean, that is going to be a humdinger of a series, let me tell you. And I'm very much looking forward to it. I mean, today's game, well, unfortunately, was, as they say, a one-sided affair. So, but anywho, I'm going to be honest here. I'm putting the finishing touches on my rankings as of right now. I waited this time. I mean, I didn't want to do it ahead of time because I'm like, I'm sure I'm probably going to have to make amendments or indemnits rather. And you know how much I despise doing that. But I got to put on my best hat. I got to put the best hat on here. So just finishing it up now. I got a couple I'm thinking about here. So it's pretty much the bottom tier. I mean, 9 and 10 are pretty much the only ones that I'm having a little snafu about here. So but now that I'm looking at the grand scheme of things, I think I have. There's only one. Okay, I think I have it here. So upon further review, so I think I've got everything all set here. So all right. So all right, now I'm ready to go. One quick honorable mention, and that is the San Diego Padres. 1 in a row, 5-5 in the last 10. So that's pretty much my only honorable mention when it comes to this. So I'm going to start this off at number 10, and my number 10, it is the Cleveland Indians. Cleveland Indians coming at number 10. They're 5-5 in their last 10, but they've won 2 in a row. They're 20-16. They currently sit second in the AL Central. They're 5th in ERA, 5th in WHIP, 27th in runs scored, and they are 28th in batting average. Long story short, great pitching, so-so offense, but they got to work on that. They got to work on the offense. They really do. So, since our last power rankings, they split a 4-game series with the Houston Astros up in Houston, and then from there, I believe they split a 2-game interleague series with the Miami Marlins, won 2 out of 3 from the Seattle Mariners, and then split a 4-game series with the Chicago White Sox. They lost the first 2, won the last 2. They are starting a 3-game series with the Oakland A's. They're out in Oakland right now, and that game is currently tied at 2. They have 2 more games against the A's this weekend. Of course, tomorrow they'll be on national television on FS1. And then they have a 2-game series with the White Sox in Chicago. And then next weekend, they will have a 4-game series with the Baltimore Orioles at home. And that'll get us to the next rankings. So that's basically all I have to say there. So my number 10, it is the Cleveland Indians. So MF, the Joe Buck to my Tim McCarver, who do you have at 10?
No, I agree. Cleveland Indians number 10. Nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, I got the Cleveland Indians as my number 10 as well. So yeah, there's nothing more that needs to be added. Let's just move right along to number 9 and Fletch, you lead off.
LA Dodgers, number 9. 6-4 in the last 10 games. Yeah, they did lose a game, but they're 25-15 currently. If you think about it, based on percentage points, the number 1 seed in the National League right now. At 625, 25 wins, 15 losses. That gives them the best record in all of the National League. I believe they are no, actually they are not. They don't have the best record in all of baseball. There's actually a team that's even better. Wow. And yeah, we're not going to believe who that team is when we get there later on in the evening. So, no, my number 9 is the LA Dodgers. So, Michael Bullock, I give it to you. Mike?
Oh, sorry about that. I forgot to unmute my mic. So,
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I was getting into it, but then I didn't realize I forgot to unmute it. So yeah, my number 9 is the LA Dodgers. I mean, I like what I've seen from them lately, but there is one guy that really continues to impress me, and that's Cody Bellinger. I mean, he continues to be red hot, especially when he's swinging the bat. So yeah, I mean, there's really nothing more that needs to be said. LA Dodgers, the reigning 2-time National League champion LA Dodgers are at number 9. Florio, it is yours.
I made a slight botcheroo here. I mean, I didn't see that the Dodgers were 6-4 in their last 10, and I hastily bumped up Cleveland, but I think Cleveland does deserve to be in there anyway. So I think I may have to do a rare tie. I'm trying to eliminate ties from this whole thing. So maybe I should just bump Cleveland to honorable mention, perhaps, because of that 5-5, 6-4. That's a big difference. So, but let's get into the Dodgers anyway. I mean, Bullock is absolutely right. Bellinger. I mean, it's a 2 when it comes to NL. I mean, I know it's way too early, but we have in the National League we have two verifiable, 2 bona fide MVP candidates. Cody Bellinger of the Los Angeles Dodgers and the reigning National League MVP, Christian Yelich of the Milwaukee Brewers. I mean, to me, those are the 2 best players in the National League right now. I don't care what anybody says. Dodgers are 25-15. They currently lead the NL West by 2 games over their closest competitor, that is the Arizona Diamondbacks. We'll get into them in a little bit. Dodgers are 2nd in runs scored. They're 3rd in WHIP. They're 6th in batting average, and they're 10th in ERA. Not a bad stat line there. I like that. That's pretty good. Since our last rankings, they had a 3-game sweep of the Pittsburgh Pirates at home. Keep in mind, we got to go back. We got to go back a couple of weeks because we didn't do rankings last week because it was our NFL draft show last week. 3-game sweep of the Pirates, and then from there, they lost 2 out of 3 to the San Francisco Giants. Took 2 out of 3 from the San Diego Padres. Sorry, MF, a 3-game sweep of your Braves, and they absolutely owned your team. I'm sorry to say, outscoring them 23-7 in that 3-game sweep. But they got beat down by the Nationals last night, 6-0. And at the moment, they are currently leading the Nationals 2-0 in the bottom of the 4th. They have 2 more games against the Nationals this weekend. And then on starting Tuesday, a brief 2-game series with the Padres. And then next weekend, they'll be on the road in Cincinnati against the Reds, who just got no hit the other night by Mike Fears of Oakland. So, yeah, so hard times for them indeed. So corrected rankings for right now. Cleveland honorable mention. Dodgers are now 10. And because here's the thing, you know our criteria. If you're at least 500 or better, you're eligible to be in there as long as, you're doing well in last 10 and all that. So I didn't see the 6-4 from the Dodgers. I guess I was in a hurry to finish it. So my apologies. That's the only mistake. So Dodgers are 10. Cleveland's honorable mention. Number 9 is the Pittsburgh. My real number 9 is the Pittsburgh Pirates. I know they're only 18-17, but they won tonight. They're 6-4 in their last 10. So that's the difference. 9th in WHIP, 13th in ERA, 23rd in batting average, 28th in runs scored. For the Pittsburgh Pirates, since our last rankings, they got swept by the Dodgers, as we all know. And then from there, they swept a brief 2-game interleague series with the Texas Rangers, won 2 out of 3 from the Oakland A's, split another 2-game interleague series with Texas, and then St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, last night they got absolutely pounded by the Cardinals, 17-4, but they bounced back with a big win tonight, 2-1. So far, they're 1-1 in this 4-game series with St. Louis, in St. Louis. They're in the midst of a long road trip here, guys. It is an 11-game road trip. They're 1-1. They have 2 more in St. Louis this weekend. Then they have a 3-game series with the Arizona Diamondbacks in Arizona starting Monday. And then starting Thursday, a 4-game series with the San Diego Padres in San Diego. They come home on the 21st. And, of course, that's a huge night for us. If you've been following our Wrestling Forum shows, I'll just park it there. So that's it for that. Pittsburgh Pirates are my number 9. My number 8, speaking of the Arizona Diamondbacks, this is where I have them. I have the Arizona Diamondbacks coming in at number 8. Winners of 2 in a row, 6-4 in their last 10. 22-16. They're 2 games behind the Dodgers in the West. They're 4th in batting average, 7th in runs scored, 14th in ERA, 15th in WHIP. And let's take a look at what they've done over the last couple of weeks since our last rankings. They lost 2 out of 3 to Matt Ward, Chicago Cubs. And then from there, they swept a 2-game interleague series with the New York Yankees at home. Won 2 out of 3 from the Colorado Rockies in Colorado. Lost 2 out of 3 in a very intriguing interleague series to the Tampa Bay Rays. And they're right now going up against MF's Braves, and they beat MF's Braves last night 3-2. They're currently tied 1-1 in the top half of the 7th. They have 2 more against Atlanta this weekend. Then they got Pittsburgh coming in for 3 starting Monday. They're off Thursday, and then they got the San Francisco Giants coming in for 3. So yeah, that's all there is to say on that. So Arizona Diamondbacks, number 8. So MF, your Braves came up just short against them last night. They're playing them tough tonight. They're 1 up. So Arizona's my number 8. What about you?
I agree. Arizona number 8. They've been playing great baseball. There's no doubt about it. They're definitely going to be a thorn in the side of a lot of teams. But no, you're absolutely right, Anthony. There's really nothing more to say. So number 8, Arizona Diamondbacks. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, I agree. My number 8 is the Arizona Diamondbacks as well. So there's really nothing more that needs to be said. So let's move on to number 7. And Fletch, you get us going.
It is the New York Yankees. 25-15, a half game from the divisional lead. Actually 2 up in the wild card. So they hold the number 1 wild card spot, and they're definitely looking good. 6-4 in the last 10, winners of 2 in a row. Playing the Tampa Rays right now. So this is a very, very, very big situation here. But at the end of the day, I truly believe this is going to be an interesting, you know, we're going to see what happens, and we're going to go and, see, we're going to go from there. So nothing more to say. My number 7, the New York Yankees. Bullock, go.
Yes, I agree. My number 7, it is the New York Yankees. I mean, yeah, they continue to play well as of late after a slow start to the season for them. So yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. Those New York Yankees are number 7. So Florio, it's yours.
Make it unanimous. It is my team, the New York Yankees, number 7. A slight correction. I'm at 23-15, not 25-15. But you are right. They are a half a game behind the Tampa Bay Rays in the American League East. By the way, Tampa Bay is not in my power rankings because they've lost 2 in a row and they're 5-5 in their last 10. Going back, well, before we go back, Yankees are 7th in WHIP. They're 8th in both batting average and ERA, and they're 11th in runs scored. Since our last power rankings, they swept a 3-game interleague series with the San Francisco Giants in San Francisco, outscoring them 24-12 in the process. But then they wound up getting swept 2 in a row by the Arizona Diamondbacks, conjured up some painful memories for me, if you know what I mean. They went on to win. They won 2 out of 3 from the Minnesota Twins, and then they won 3 out of 4 from the Seattle Mariners, and a big, big win in Tampa Bay tonight. That's the other big series. You thought Milwaukee and the Cubs were a big series. This is the other big series in baseball this weekend. Yanks and Rays, first place in the AL East. Whoever really comes out on top, the Yanks get the first blow. Makes me very happy. 4-3 tonight. 2 more games against the Rays this weekend. Then we have the Baltimore Orioles coming in for a 3-game series at the stadium starting Monday. They're off on Thursday, and then next weekend we see those Tampa Bay Rays again, only this time it'll be at Yankee Stadium before the Yanks go out on a 7-game road trip in Baltimore and Kansas City. So, and who would have thought that this team would actually be doing so well without so many of their star players? I mean, Aaron Judge hurt, Giancarlo Stanton injured, Gary Sanchez injured, so many others, but I'm loving this Urshela kid. He has been on a roll lately, but the one young man who has really been stepping up for us as of late has been Luke Voit. That's the name you got to watch for, folks. Luke Voit. He has done the heavy lifting for this team with all of our stars out with injuries. So big ups to Luke Voit, man. You want to talk about soldier up? He is soldiering up indeed. So I am continuing to love that young man even more. So yes, indeed. So the New York Yankees coming in at number 7. No doubt about that. So now we move on to number 6. And it is, let's see. I originally had Philadelphia in this spot, but Philadelphia, upon further review, they went down tonight. So I will have to do a brief reshuffling here. I think I probably should put Cleveland back in now at 10 and then move everybody up 1. So with that being said, the Yanks should really be number 6, not number 7. So that should be Arizona. So the D-backs are 7, the Yanks are 6. I was going to put Philly here, but Philly went down. But Philly was playing really well up until that point. So that's all I can say on that. So a small reshuffling has to be done. So that's it. Thanks, Phillies. You ruined it. And I know that makes MF a very happy man, seeing that he's a Brave fan. So Yeah, way to mess things up for me, Phillies. I had everything all, I had all the bases covered, but you had to lose tonight and screw things up for me. So I'm just gonna have to do that. So Zona goes down to 7. The Yanks are now 6. So sorry for the confusion. So MF, just take it. Your damn division rivals messed me up.
Well, the thing is that that's why I don't do the indemnits until after the fact. I don't do it during the power rankings. So therefore, it pains me to do this, but I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt, and I'm gonna put the Phillies where they deserve. You had them at number 6. I'm not gonna fight that decision. I'm not gonna overrule that. So no, I'm gonna keep it as is. Philadelphia remains at number 6 in my rankings. I just don't see where I could overturn it. Like, I get where you're trying to go for, Florio. I know where you're going with it, and I totally agree with it. But I'd rather not do any indemnits or anything like that. Just because of the fact of the fear of something screwing up. So no, number 6 is the Philadelphia Phillies. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it as is as well. I mean, the Philadelphia Phillies, they're my number 6 as well. So, yeah, this is why I hate it as well. I mean, doing it, so you got to stick with your guns. So let's move on to Fletch.
We start off the top 5, and Anthony, I know this is probably not going to be a major problem or an argument. Houston Astros, number 5. 7-3 in the last 10 games. The winners of 3 in a row. They are playing really good right now. They're playing some great baseball. 24-15. This would make them actually the number 3 seed in the American League. So no, they're playing pretty well. They're 5 games up on the Seattle Mariners. They're just looking good, guys. Houston, you guys got a really good team to work with. So I just don't see nothing else that would scare me at this point. So no, number 5, I gotta say, Houston Astros. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, my number 5 is the Houston Astros as well. So yeah, there's really nothing more that needs to be said for you. It is yours.
Since the Philadelphia Phillies came up, we should address them. So they're 21-16. They lead the NL East by 3.5 games. Philly is 11th in batting average and ERA. They're 12th in runs scored. They're 17th in the WHIP. And since our last rankings for Philly, they won 3 out of 4 from the Miami Marlins, and then they split a 2-game interleague series with the Detroit Tigers. Then won 2 out of 3 from the Washington Nationals, and then they won 2 out of 3 from the St. Louis Cardinals, and then from there, a bad loss. They lose to the dud Royals in Kansas City tonight, 5-1. They have 2 more games against the Royals this weekend, interleague series, and then a huge series coming up starting Monday. The red hot Milwaukee Brewers, a 4-game series starting Monday. And then next weekend, they'll be hosting the Colorado Rockies. So that's it for the Philadelphia Phillies. Top 5, yeah, there will be no indemnits here. Everything has gone down correctly here. All the stars are aligned correctly. Houston Astros started off. They are number 5. You're absolutely correct. 24-15. They lead the AL West by 5 over Seattle. 7-3 in the last 10, winners of 3 in a row. They lead the league in batting average. They lead the league in WHIP. They're 5th in ERA. They're 9th in runs scored. Since our last rankings, the Stros, they split a 4-game series with the Cleveland Indians, and then they did lose 3 out of 4 to the Minnesota Twins in Minnesota. Swept a brief 2-game series with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, but they absolutely pounded them 24-6 in those 2 games. Then they won 2 out of 3 from the Kansas City Royals at home, and so far in a 4-game series with the Texas Rangers, they're 2 for 2. They won last night and they won again tonight. They've outscored them 7-2 in those 2 games. 2 more games against the Rangers this weekend. And then they will be going to Detroit for a 3-game series with the Tigers starting Monday. They're off on Thursday. And then next weekend, we will have a rematch of last year's American League Championship Series. The Houston Astros will be going to Fenway Park in Boston for a big 3-game series with Bullock's Red Sox. So that's going to be hella fun. So too bad the series wasn't as fun as we thought it would be, but, it is what it is. So, but anywho, Houston Astros coming in at number 5. Number 4, there's no question about it. The biggest surprise in all of baseball right now, without a question. How about those Minnesota Twins, guys? Can you believe this? 24-12. And as of right now, they have the best record in all of baseball. Not just the American League, all of baseball. 24-12. They're also 7-3 in their last 10 games, but the thing is, they've won 4 in a row. They're 3rd in batting average, they're 8th in WHIP, they're 7th in ERA, and they're 10th in runs scored. Since our last power rankings, the Twins 3-game sweep of the Baltimore Orioles, outscoring them 19-4 in those 3 games, and then from there, winning 3 out of 4 from the Houston Astros, outscoring them 15-4 in those 3 wins. The only hiccup, they did lose 2 out of 3 to my Yankees at the stadium last weekend, but then they bounced back. A 3-game sweep of the Toronto Blue Jays in Toronto, outscoring them. Get this, guys, 20-1. That's it, 20-1 in that 3-game sweep of Toronto, and then a 6-0 shutout of the Detroit Tigers tonight. I believe they're playing a day-night doubleheader tomorrow, and then they will have another game on Sunday. So 3 more games against the Tigers this weekend. Then they got the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim coming in for a 3-gamer starting Monday, and then starting Thursday, they go out to Seattle for a 4-game series with the Mariners in Seattle. Biggest surprise in baseball, bar none. I mean, there's one young man on that team, the star pitcher for this team, Berrios. I mean, that kid is insane. I mean, right now, he is one of my early favorites for the Cy Young Award, Jose Berrios. 6 wins, an ERA of about 2.5, 51 strikeouts. I mean, I am absolutely loving that young man's body of work. And, man, they are killing it right now. So, it's been 28 years since we've seen this team not only play in the World Series, but also win it as well. So I know it's very early, but you never know. Could we see this team in October? That's all I can say on that. So big ups to the Minnesota Twins, man. They are absolutely killing it right now. MF, I mean, who would have thought that at this point in the year, about a month and a half or so into the season, if I had told you that the Minnesota Twins were going to have the best record, what would you say?
Yeah, I would say you're absolutely nuts. I would have said you're absolutely nuts. But, sometimes this early in the season, everything's looking great. Everything's looking good. But like you said, once we get into the dog days of summer, especially the second half, are they going to be able to withstand it? This is great. This is good. But it's a long season, Anthony, and that's the thing. Cleveland's right there, but they've been dealing with a lot of injury issues. So could they turn it around and make a run here? So we'll wait and see what happens. But right now, Minnesota's answering all the question, and they're putting those check marks on that list of things that you and I look at as far as, okay, are you a legitimate contender? Can this withstand? Right now, they're looking great. So we'll wait and see what happens. So nothing more to say. Without a doubt, number 4 is definitely the Minnesota Twins. They are the biggest surprise in baseball right now, and they've been playing amazing ball lately. So nothing more to say, Michael Bullock. I give it to you.
Yeah, definitely the surprise team of baseball up to this point is the Minnesota Twins. They're my number 4 as well. So, yeah, there's nothing more to say. Let's go to number 3, and Fletch, you lead off.
Chicago Cubs, man. I gotta give it up for the Cubbies. They've been looking pretty good. Number 2 overall in the National League as of right now. 22 wins, 14 losses. 8-2 in the last 10. They did lose. They lost to Milwaukee. Please note, you're gonna hear that name come very soon. Not yet, but we'll let you know soon. They've been playing great ball, no doubt about it. Look, Chicago just has this team year in and year out. You never know what it is with the Cubbies, but they've been on a renaissance. You know, they're no longer the lovable losers that we knew them. Ever since they broke that curse and won the World Series a few years ago, but they've been consistent year in and year out, and they're starting to become that team where we should expect them to play for the World Series year in and year out, at least in the playoffs. Where do they go from there? We'll wait and see what happens. But from what I've seen, they played pretty well up to this point. Nothing bad to say. So, yeah, my number 3 is the Cubbies. Wave the W flag. Yeah, that Go Cubs Go thing going. Like when me and Anthony were handling the National League Championship Series, when the Cubs went to the World Series, and then obviously when Chicago won it all. So, nothing more to say. Number 3, Chicago Cubs. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, my number 3 is the Chicago Cubs as well. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they continue to play very well as of late. Like you said, number 2 in the National League, and yeah, you pretty much hear that "Go Cubs Go" song anytime there's a Cubs victory, and if we continue to see more of that at Wrigley Field, you'll be hearing more of that. So Chicago Cubs number 3, Floria, what's yours?
Yes, and indeed, it is the Chicago Cubs at number 3. Our dear friend Matt Ward. I mean, I'm sure he's got to be very excited. I'm sure he's very pleased with what's going on right now. Percentage points ahead of Milwaukee in the NL Central. 8-2 in the last 10. They lost to them today. 22-14 overall. They're 4th in runs scored. They're 4th in ERA. They're 6th in batting average. They got to work on the whip. They're 15th in that. Since our last rankings, the Cubs won 2 out of 3 from the Arizona Diamondbacks. And then they swept a 2-game interleague series with the Seattle Mariners in Seattle. And, man, they outscored them 17-5 in those 2 games. And then a 3 – I know this was perhaps the sweetest of them all from Matt Ward. Last weekend, a 3-game sweep of his most hated rival, the St. Louis Cardinals, at home, outscoring them 23-10 in those 3 games. And then they followed that up by winning 3 out of 4 from the Miami Marlins, also at home. In those 3 wins, they outscored the Marlins 12-5. And then today, I'll tell you this. If they didn't lose to Milwaukee today, I seriously would have considered them for number 1. But they got pounded by the Brewers today. Huge series. This is one of the 2 big series in baseball, the other being the Yankees and the Rays in Tampa. 2 more games against the Brewers this weekend, including Michael Bullock's favorite, Sunday Night Baseball. There you go, Bullock. You got a great Sunday nighter here. They're off on Monday, and then starting Tuesday, a 3-game series with the Cincinnati Reds in Cincinnati. And then they got to go to Washington for a 3-game series with the Nationals. 2 nationally televised games next weekend. Saturday the 18th, Fox Saturday Night Baseball returns next Saturday night. And then Sunday Night Baseball on May 19th. Same night as the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So there you have it. So yeah, Chicago Cubs coming in at number 3. Speaking of, our favorite teams, number 2, Michael Bullock, I know you're going to have a Cheshire cat-like grin on your face when I say, coming in at number 2, it's your team, buddy. Your reigning, defending, undisputed World Series champion, Boston Red Sox. 20-19, third in the AL East. They're 4 games behind the Yanks and the Rays. However, they're finally starting to play that team that, dominated last year, winning the franchise record, 108 games, winning the World Series. 8-2 in their last 10. They've won 3 in a row. They're 4th in runs scored. They're 14th in WHIP, 15th in batting average, 19th in ERA. Since our last power rankings, the local 9, as we call them, didn't fare too well against the Tampa Bay Rays. 1 game got rained out. They did lose the other 2. They lost both games to Tampa Bay, getting outscored 7-3. But then this is where the bounce back came at the end of April. They pounded the Oakland A's, a 3-game sweep of the Oakland A's, outscoring them 21-9, and then winning 3 out of 4 from the Chicago White Sox. In those 3 wins, 30-5 was the margin. 30-5, they outscored them in the 3 wins. And then they won 2 out of 3 from the Baltimore Orioles at Camden Yards. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're beating the weaker teams. They're taking advantage of the soft schedule. That's what you got to do. And tonight, they put a whooping on the Seattle Mariners, 14-1. Oofa. What happened to the Mariners, man? They started out so red hot, but boy, have they cooled off. Oh my goodness. 2 more games against the Mariners this weekend, off on Monday. And then a 2-game interleague series with the Colorado Rockies at Fenway, Tuesday and Wednesday, off Thursday. And then next weekend, oh boy, that huge ALCS rematch with the Houston Astros. 3-game series at Fenway Park, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Saturday night, Fox Baseball. So really nothing more to say on that. So number 2, your reigning and defending undisputed World Series champion Boston Red Sox and MF. We saw the run last year. We saw them dominate the Yankees in the division series. We saw them dominate Houston. We thought that was going to be a far more competitive series, but boy, did they own them. And then the domination with the exception with the exception of the greatest game we ever saw, that marathon 18-inning affair with the Dodgers. I know that was our longest night ever.
Oh my God!
Especially for me.
I mean, you want to talk about burning? We literally burned the 3 a.m. oil. It was not just burning the midnight oil. We burned the 3 a.m. oil on that one. I don't know how the heck we survived that
Thankfully,
night.
with the West Coast.
Huh?
Thankfully, West Coast.
Oh yeah. You want to hear this, Fletch? I stayed up for the whole thing, and then guess what? I had to be in at 8 a.m. In a few hours that very same day.
Trust me, a lot of people did that too. It wasn't just you. A lot of people did that. I couldn't. I did. I handled it. I had to do it. I'm a lead commentator for the World Series. And Anthony did. So thank God we were out west, because goddamn, we'd be in trouble. Oh my God. But it was insane.
The point is the Sox, I mean, very slow start. They stumbled out of the gate, but finally they're starting to play like the world champions of last year.
First time this year they're over 500. So yeah, absolutely. Number 2, Boston Red Sox, 20-19, 8-2 in the last 3 games, 8-2 in the last 10, with winners of 3 in a row. You basically hit every other note that needs to be said. So nothing more to say. Michael Blake, I give it to you.
Yep, number 2, it is indeed the Boston Red Sox, the defending World Series champions. So there's nothing more to say. So, Fletch, I gotta ask you, who's number 1?
The Milwaukee Brewers. The Brew Crew are number 1, 8-2 in the last 10, winners of 7 in a row. And boys, don't look now. Here they come. I mean, you got the National League MVP, Christian Yelich, And man, he is tearing it up again. He's going absolutely bonkers right now. I don't think there's no other player better in Major League Baseball right now than Christian Yelich. I don't think there is any other player in the game right now that's more valuable to a team than Christian Yelich to the Milwaukee Brewers. If Yelich goes down with an injury, and God, please do not send any hate mail to me, Milwaukee. I'm not wishing that. No. But God, if that happens, this team free falls big time. This guy is the glue and the reason why that they're great when it comes to their batting, their defense, whatever. And then you got a bona fide superstar closer in Hader. And if he gets the ball in the ninth with a lead, good morning, good afternoon, good night. It's lights out. It's like he's like the Mariano Rivera of the Yankees. If you give him the ball in the ninth inning with a lead, you're not giving it up. It's very rare Hader gives up a lead or blows a save. 9 times out of 10, he slams the door and it's over. So Milwaukee's got the team, man. If they just put a couple of pieces together, or if their team is healthy, guys, they are going to be a trouble team. I'm putting everybody on the National League on notice. Milwaukee is here to stay, and they are a threat. No doubts in my mind. Nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, Milwaukee's number 1 in my book. Do you agree? Mike?
Did you want me
You
to
might-
mic again?
Unmute your mic, bro.
Oh gosh, that's the second time that's happened. Oy.
Don't make it a third time. You know what happens when it's the third time.
Good thing this is the last one of the night with the rankings, so I don't
There
think
you
I
go.
have to worry about that. So, yeah, number 1 is the Milwaukee Brewers. Florio, just take it before I botch something else.
Milwaukee, hottest team right now, 7 in a row, 8-2 in the last 10, 24-16. They're right there with the Cubs in the Central. They're 7th in runs scored. They're 13th in batting average, 17th in WHIP, 21st in ERA. Since the last ranking, they won 2 out of 3 from the Mets, outscoring them 18-8 in the process. And then follow that up with, they split a 4-game series with the Colorado Rockies, and then a 3-game sweep of the New York Mets. They outscored them 10-6, and then a 3-game sweep of the Washington Nationals, 18-6. They outscored them, and then a 7-0 beatdown of the Chicago Cubs this afternoon at Wrigley Field. That huge series. 2 more against the Cubs this weekend, and then they go to Philadelphia for a 4-game series with the Phillies. And then I hate to say this, MF, but next weekend, guess who's coming to SunTrust Park in Atlanta? Have fun. That's all I can say on that. So MF's Braves get a 3-gamer with them next weekend in Atlanta. So, yeah, good luck. Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, and John Smoltz ain't walking through that door to deal with Yelich. So, good luck. That's all I can say on that. So, close it out. Milwaukee, number 1. You're absolutely right. Yelich is a bona fide superstar, without a doubt. He is right now the best player in the game. The only one that even comes close to him is Cody Bellinger of the Dodgers. So that's all there is to say on that. Milwaukee Brewers, number 1. No doubt about it, with a bullet. So that's it. That puts the bow on this edition of Strictly Sports. I want to thank you all so very much for tuning in this evening. MF, Bullock, whoever wants to start it off with the shout-outs, it's yours. And then I'll set up our exciting future content, and hopefully we have enough time to get into our little behind-the-scenes action. So MF, Bullock, whoever. Okay, Bullock is ready. So Bullock, your shout-outs, and we'll take it from there.
All right, of course, shout outs to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to support our shows, whether it's this or our Wrestling Forum shows. We thank you all so very much for tuning in tonight. Of course, shout outs to all of our super fans out there. You guys know who you are. To our First Lady of Wrestling, Dee Dee Woodson, and the rest of the Woodson family. To all of our friends from our high school days, you guys know who you are. All of our personalities from 6, 10, and 12. Our personalities from ESPN, Fox Sports, MLB Network, NHL Network, NBA TV, and NFL Network. And of course, our friends from the Road Show, former co-hosts Mary Larson and Megan Mooney, and of course, Will, Brendan, and Michaela. So, yeah, so that's going to do it for me. So, until Monday night for an all-new edition of Ridiculously Raw, this is Mike Bullock saying thank you all so very much for tuning in. And of course, you know the routine. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, and enjoy your weekend, everybody. So Fletch, I give it to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike Bullock. Thank you to everybody for making the show as incredible as it is. You guys are the best fans in the world, but you already know that. To the super fans out there, you guys know who you guys are. To my friends in the junior high and high school days, you guys know who you guys are. To my 2184 crew guys, love you guys to death. And that's it for me. So I will see you guys sometime next week. Until then, Mike Fletcher, you know the routine, Hustle and Pounds. I'm out. Good night. Florio, it's all yours, bro.
All right, MF, stick around, and Bullock, you too. Yes, indeed. Very, very special shout out to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to make our shows as over as they are. We appreciate it as always. You are the best fans in the world. To our First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, the Twisted Angel, Dee Dee Woodson, along with Kevin Woodson and the Woodson family. Our insiders, Matt Ward, Jason Hexenbaugh, Daniel Luttrell from the UK. Our other First Ladies, Kaiser Butler, Megan Silva, and Lexi Calloway. The crew members, Tommy Souza, Eric Carrier, Jimmy Alden, Al Braderson, and Rob Parsons, and of course the man himself, Derek Ferrer, who puts it all together every week. All of our personalities from 6, 10, and 12. Our friends over at ESPN, FS1, MLB Network, NFL Network, NHL Network, NBA TV. The Lindsey McCormick and Status Sorrell, our friends from the Road Show, Will Gilbert, Brendan Kirby, and Michaela Johnson. The former co-host Megan Mooney on Channel 10, and now Mary Larson. And then last but not least, to my wonderful friends and church family over at Oasis of Grace Ministries on 464 Silver Spring Street in Providence, Community Church Home. Check them out, exit 25 off Route 95. Sunday morning at 9, Bible study. 10:30 Sunday morning service. Wednesday at 7, Bible study. Other things going on. And that's it for that. Monday night, of course, Ridiculously Raw. The go-home show for Money in the Bank from England. You know, we'll wait and see how that goes. And my Tony's take on 205 Live and Impact Wrestling as usual. Tuesday night or Wednesday, depending on MF's work schedule, it will be the Cerebral Smack Talk with MF over on Braves Fan 95, a rundown, the Go Home to Money in the Bank edition of SmackDown Live. If MF has anything in the Mikey's mindset, I know we'll get into that. I'm sure we'll have Strictly Sports next Friday night. And then, of course, we'll have to figure out a time to do our Money in the Bank preview show because the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, of course, is next weekend. So I will do the preview. And then, of course, MF will have the recap as always. So we got a rare busy week coming up for us. So that's it. So until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, it's Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher, for Michael Bullock. And in spirit, Dee Dee Woodson and Derek Ferrer. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed weekend. And until Monday night for Ridiculously Raw, you've been watching Strictly Sports right here on Tone25 and YouTube.com. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. And bye, everybody. Bye.